It was interesting because we talked about how quiet of an offseason it was, or how it quieted down heading into camp, and it was full steam ahead. Well, it didn't take long. Things getting a little bit noisier as we're 2 days into Bengals camp. Jay, welcome. We appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's not really that noisy because Jamar's not saying anything and Zach's not saying, he's not letting on what's going on either, just saying it's part of the plan. But yeah, I don't know how soon we're going to see Jamar in practice, but I don't think this is anything that's going to be a long-term issue.
So we're split here in this room.
Okay.
So we're going around right now just talking about whether or not is this contract related? Reed does not think this is contract related, or doesn't want to believe that it's contract related, saying he's going to take the coach's word for it as far as that's concerned. Zach Taylor saying this is a part of the plan. But as far as you're concerned, I mean, Jay, is this contract related? Like, what else could it be? Because, again, you talk about a plan keeping a healthy wide receiver out of camp, not just the first day, but the first 2 and maybe 3. It has to be contract related, correct?
Yeah, there's no other explanation for it. I mean, Jamar said at the end of minicamp that he was 100% healthy. Zach said yesterday he's healthy. So why else would you not be practicing? I get it. T's healthy. He didn't practice yesterday, but he practiced the first day. I can see giving a veteran, and they did it with Trey Hendrickson yesterday. They're going to do it with Joe Burrow today. I can see giving a veteran a day off early in camp, but the first 2 days, that's 100% contract related, and it's unfortunate because Zach has to do these verbal gymnastics and dance around saying it's all part of some plan. And I asked him, I said, well, is the plan for him to practice tomorrow? Well, I said that yesterday, and he said, we'll see. And it's like, well, if there's a plan, well, how's there a we'll see? So I don't know how long he can keep doing this. At some point, Jamar is going to have to come out and either practice or say, I'm holding in. And he's putting Zach in a really awkward spot, a bad spot. And Zach talked Monday at the pre-camp lunch, and he did his pre-camp news conference on Wednesday, and then he has to turn around and talk to all the media on the field after practice yesterday, because 2 days without Jamar, that has to be addressed. So it's not to the point of causing a rift or divide or anything, but it's something that they need to get fixed soon, and I assume they will. I don't know how long Jamar can do this. I don't think it's going to hurt them football-wise. I mean, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have as great of a connection as any quarterback receiver duo around, given their time at LSU and at Cincinnati. But at the same time, they're looking to do a lot of new things with Jamar this year. Move him all around, use him in the slot a lot more. He didn't participate in any of the OTAs or in minicamp, so he hasn't actually been on the field to do any of these installs and with any of this new offensive coordinator. So they've got to get it figured out soon and get him out there.
Jay, and okay, so we all think it's contract related. That's great, but my big question is, why is that such a big deal for them just to come out and say, I guess? I feel like, yes, I think it would be a headline. Man, Jamar Chase sitting out because of a contract dispute, but at least it's put out there, and then that fire's put out. Now we just sit back and wait. I feel like they're making this worse for critics out there because they're coming out and saying it's part of a plan. And then Jamar Chase is asked about it. He just says no comment. I just don't see the damage. We all assume it's contract related. I can't see from their perspective why keeping this quiet is helping them, because at this point I think it's becoming a distraction because they're not saying it. I think it'd be less of a distraction if they just came out and said, yeah, it's contract related.
Yeah, I think you would risk, if you'd make Jamar mad, but I think that's part of what Zach's talking about, where he's been in constant communication with Jamar. They're on the same page where this is concerned, and he's just kind of doing him a solid, if you will. And he's like, well, we'll dance around this, but I can only do this dance for so long. We get to Sunday or Monday, he's going to have to say what it is. Jamar's going to have. Why wouldn't Jamar just say what it is? I mean, if that's what you're doing, just say that's what you're doing. I don't get the whole secrecy thing and the kind of the fudging with the idea of it's some sort of plan. So maybe we'll hear from Jamar at some point. He said he would talk in training camp. We're only 2 days in, but everybody, as soon as practice ends, goes right to his locker just to see if he is going to say anything. And then you're waiting around for one guy and not getting a chance to talk to other guys. So I think everybody is hoping, not necessarily resolution, but just something comes of this where, okay, this is what it is. Now we can move forward.
We have Jay Morrison, Pro Football Network, covers your Cincinnati Bengals with us here off the bench. Chatterbox Sports on YouTube, 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton. Now, earlier you said you don't anticipate this being, too long of an absence. If it is contract related, I mean, for one, are you surprised that this contract thing came up now? I feel like including our conversations in the past, we anticipated this being more of a talking point next offseason. Were you caught off guard by this? And with this starting now at this point, what's the end game? I mean, the end game's get the contract resolved, but what do you think the end game's going to be on both sides? Because the Bengals have been known to be very stubborn in these particular situations. It's a staring contest. Who's going to blink first, in your opinion?
Mike Brown doesn't blink. I mean, and they've got all the leverage. They've got him under contract for two more years. And Jamar made it sound like he was good with this, and he was willing to wait for Justin Jefferson. He didn't seem like he was in any kind of hurry. And honestly, if you look at it, I mean, he can't do anything to hurt his value this year. Even if he gets hurt, all he can do is improve his value. So it would make sense to play this out, and whatever the Bengals might be willing to pay him right now, they're going to have to pay him even more next year if he goes out and has a typical Jamar year, and maybe he goes above and has a career year. Who knows? I don't know. I think the Bengals want to get it done, but they want to get it done the way they want to get it done, and they don't want to do the guaranteed money as much as Justin Jefferson, and I think that's the sticking point. Jamar is criminally underpaid for how good he is and what he's making this year, but that's part of a rookie deal, and they use the 5th-year option on him. He's got $21.8 million guaranteed. So if you pair those two together, then okay, now you're talking about he's making 11, 12 million per year over the next 2 years. It's just, I don't know. I see what the Bengals are doing. I think Jamar wanted, like I said, to play this out. This feels like it's the agent saying that, this is what you need to do, and Jamar trusting his agent and listening to him. I don't know. I still don't think we see a deal before this season starts. It's more likely that it happens next year, spring, summer, 2 days before the opener. Who knows what time next year? But it just feels like this is gonna play out. I can't see Jamar holding in the entire camp and get to the point where we're talking about him possibly missing games. This is going to get resolved one way or another. I don't think the contract is going to be the resolution this offseason.
Jay Morrison, and again, look, and we're not going to keep talking about this the whole time because there's a lot of positives that have come out of camp, no doubt about it. But obviously, this caught a lot of people off guard. And in defense of the Bengals, it has yet to come out that this is exactly contract related. I think we could just all connect the dots as far as that's concerned. But as far as some positive takeaways in camp, what are some of the big takeaways you've had? Because while everyone's focusing on Jamar Chase, sounds like Burton has had one heck of a start to camp 2 days in.
Yeah, he looks great. He looked great in OTAs, just running routes on air, and now he's running it against receivers or against DBs. And, he did get a ball punched out yesterday, but it was kind of the echo of the whistle. It was almost at the end of the play, but he looks great. Andrei Iosivas looks incredible. I mean, he's right now, if the season started tomorrow, he's their starting slot, and he may be the starting slot on September 8th against the Patriots. He has really refined his game. He worked with a receiver coach in the offseason. Him and Chase Brown both went down to Atlanta and worked with this receiver coach, and they both look really good. But at the top of the list has to be Joe Burrow. I mean, we left at the end of minicamp with him throwing half speed and with him missing days when the media was there and all these weird things going on in the back of your mind. It's like, where is that wrist? How does he actually feel? And he looks great. He's zipping the ball. He's throwing deep balls. We didn't see him throw a lot of deep shots for most of training or most of OTAs. He did a little bit early on, and then I think it did start bothering him a little bit. But there's a couple wonky balls that come out, and they're uncharacteristic wobblers. But I think that's all just part of getting the mechanics back and getting comfortable with the wrist. But as far as the strength of the wrist, his accuracy, he looks really good. Pretty soon, we'll get a better idea of where Marius Mims is and all that O-line, the D-line. You really can't tell much until the pads go on. I think Zach said, Tuesday is when they're going to go to pads. He said day 5, but actually Monday is day 5 of practice. So I'm not sure if it's going to be Monday or Tuesday, but before long, we'll get to see some of what's going on there with the O-line, D-line. Because again, it's like OTAs. There's just not much you can tell when they're out there and just no pads and not thumping it all.
Jay, without obviously, I mean, you just talked about the fact, obviously, you can't really tell yet until they get the pads on, until they start muscling up front. But how do you, just from your perspective, anticipate that playing out with Mims? Obviously, a lot of excitement when they drafted him. The people pointed out the lack of games, of course, in college due to injury. But he's a massive dude. In fact, the Bengals have a massive offensive line right now. I mean, they beefed up front to protect Joe Burrow, no doubt about it. But with the Brown, injury, or at least what people are kind of keeping an eye on, what do you anticipate for Mims? Is Mims going to be, pushed as the guy? Or obviously you have to see how he performs early, but just your overall takeaway of how you think this plays out.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a real shot to win the job. We haven't seen any, ooh, that was bad. There was one play where Sam Hubbard beat him yesterday, but that's going to happen to a young guy. We haven't seen the false starts. It's just, it is really hard to tell, but if he can get the mental part of it down and not make the same mistake twice and really get in the playbook, and he told me earlier in the offseason he keeps 2 notebooks that he keeps all of his notes in, and he duplicates them, and he has one in the meeting room and one that he carries with him everywhere, just so that he's never without it. He's serious about this, and he's got all the physical tools in the world. Duke Tobin said Monday at the pre-camp lunch, and this is a guy with a physical profile that should have been a top 5 draft pick. And the only thing that let them get him at 18 is the fact that he barely played in college. So if he can turn it on mentally, and he's got the physical tools, if he can get everything right in his head, I don't see any reason why he can't beat out Trent Brown. I think Trent Brown's better suited to be your swing tackle anyhow. He has some experience playing on the left side, and he's a veteran, but he's got injury issues, and I think they would love to see Maurice Mims win that job. And right now, he's in the lead because Trent Brown hasn't done much at all, and he's on the NFI list right now with what Zach Taylor said was tightness. So he barely participated in the offseason, and he has missed the first 2 days of practice, and it doesn't look like he's going to be coming back anytime super soon, maybe 3-4 days from now at the earliest.
Mike Gesicki, a lot of people excited about him. A lot of reports coming out about how often it looks like those two are connecting, Joe Burrow and him connecting. Obviously, the early goings of camp. I think a lot of people. I mean, that was a sneaky good addition in the offseason. I know because so many people were talking about, do you go get the top tight end if he's available out of the draft? Look at what the Chiefs do with their top tight end. Look what the Bills do. I know it wasn't a name that everyone anticipated, but that was a sneaky good get for the Cincinnati Bengals, and it sounds like just a couple days in that's a connection that you guys are starting to see early and often.
Yeah, they really have a good connection, and like I said before, where there have been some balls that have been like sailed on Joe a little bit or a little bit flutters, and it seems like most of those go to Gesicki, and he still finds a way to catch them. He twists and contorts and leaps, and he's coming down with these passes. It was my favorite signing of the offseason, and not just because what he can bring to this offense, but they got it. It's $2.4 million. I mean, they stole him basically, and we've seen it with C.J. Uzomah, Hayden Hurst, Tanner Hudson last year. If you play tight end for Joe Burrow, you're going to get paid. He's going to get you the ball, and Gesicki's got a chance to have the best season of any of those tight ends that Joe Burrow's played with. Even with all these other weapons around, there's a lot of targets to be spread around, but I really think he can be a huge weapon up the seam and then in the red zone with that frame, his catch radius. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch him play this season. All
right, Jay Morrison, Pro Football Network covers your Cincinnati Bengals. Awesome enough to give us some time here today on Off the Bench. Obviously, the big storyline surrounding the Cincinnati Bengals at this point is what's going on with Ja'Marr Chase. And send us out with this. On the scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that a week ago at this time we'll be at least seeing Ja'Marr Chase out on the practice field?
Yeah, I think by next Friday for sure. I don't know that they can keep doing this. I think he's making a point, but I don't think he's going to dig in and just be a hold-in for the entire camp. I think he's just letting them know he's unhappy. He wants them to accelerate the contract negotiations. He saw what happened with T. He's probably not happy about the way they treated T, and he's just making a little bit of a stand, but I think this is going to be smoothed out in short order.
All right, sounds good. Jay, you're the man. I appreciate it. I know you just came on with us last week. You're a busy guy, but we appreciate you, and thank you, and have a great rest of your weekend.
All right, thanks, Justin.
All right, good stuff. Jay Morrison, Pro Football Network, good enough to hop on with us here today. And again, Jimmy, Casey, and Reed hanging out with us here as we wrap the show up. Just overall thoughts, takeaways from the conversation with Jay. Reed, right off the bat, we'll start with you.
Yeah, he pretty much debunked what I said, which is that this wasn't a contract related, and that's okay because
I've been telling you, dude. You should just listen to me.
I should listen
in
to
Kinner,
you.
You should trust.
No, by the way, what did you do? What did you do to this chat? They're just all over you all the time.
What did you start it with me?
I don't know. I don't know if I started it, but I certainly didn't help it. Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Drinks will be
I think that this will be just like Jay said at the end. It's like it's not a non-story. It's clearly a story, but it will be over soon. Jamar Chase will play. Health, right? If he's healthy, he'll play 17 games for the Cincinnati Bengals this year, and he'll play for the years to come. So I'm not too worried about it. It'll get worked out. We all have circled an extension for a long time, and it will get done eventually. So I'm not too worked up about it.
One of my biggest takeaways, and the thing that got me the most excited, because I'm a football nerd deep down, you guys know in the chat how much I care about the draft process, testing and whatnot. And Andrei Iosivas was one of the highest graded receivers in not just his draft class, but in the entire league's process of doing this over many, many years of doing this. The fact that he was blowing away Jay Morrison saying that he would probably be our day one slot receiver right now, and the fact that he's had lots of reps on the outside too, gets me very excited. That's a guy that had so much potential that could be such a just out of left field star, right, for this team. And you go look at the clips, he looks strong, man. I mean, he's just ripping the ball away from some of these guys. I'm very excited about that. Very, very excited.
Yeah, I mean, Jay kind of confirmed everything I thought about the Jamar situation and where that was headed. And at the end of the day, there should have never really been a worry for many Bengals fans, but I guess Adam Schefter kind of poking buttons and getting people riled up, creating a story out of it. But at the end of the day,
you blaming Adam Schefter. You blaming Adam Schefter.
That Adam Schefter, I don't like him. You quote me on this. That Adam Schefter is no good. He's a no good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to see Jamar Chase on the field and what his contract extension comes out to be when it does ultimately happen. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited.
Yeah, Jay saying, 2 years still left on the deal. He doesn't have any leverage, but he's trying to work it. Man, I'm just curious what the end game, how this is going to ultimately be resolved, because it's just one of those things. Like, you had Trey Hendrickson. I want Trey to, oh man, it's going to get bad, and then like, no, I'm just playing. I'm here. Man, we thought it was going to get ugly. Nah, I'm going to sign the tender early. Like, these things keep happening that are weird that you think it's going to turn into something, and they get resolved quickly. So I get why everyone's anticipating this will be resolved quickly. It just, again, I'm a hater. I'm a clown. Everyone call me a clown in the chat. That's fine. You're just mad because I was right about this. So, it is what it is. But no, this feels different. This Jamar Chase thing feels different. But at the same time, it's going to be weird if he does continue to hold out and does continue to be difficult, because you see the great thing, like T. Higgins, all the great things he said, man, I just want to focus on winning. I don't want to be a distraction. Just want to get this taken care of. And then you thought that was resolved, and now here comes Jamar Chase. No rift right now, but man, this could get a little dicey. And you guys think he'll be back soon, and he possibly will, but why start this just to give up after a couple days? I think this could be a little bit further into camp than just a week, but we'll see what happens. But